been asked this question in Hocus Pocus 1993 film. My opinions on what would have happened if Elijah, Thackery Binx's friend from the start of the film, who tells him where Emily is, his friend Elijah, whatever his name, the way it's pronounced, whatever. I was asked what would have happened if he went to try and rescue Emily instead of Thackery Binx, and Thackery Binx went to warn the townspeople, which Elijah did. Where if Binx did his job, and he went to tried to rescue Emily Binx, what would have happened if Elijah went to try and rescue her? It's 50-50, isn't it? He could have been turned into a cat too, but he seemed a bit more older than Thackery Binx, didn't he? Like, if you look at the faces, he looks a bit older. If you watch the movie, a bit older, so maybe he was maybe a bit more experienced, so he may have been saved in time. Like he may have done things differently, mightn't he? Like, he would have obviously gone down to try and save Emily, but maybe if Winifred zapped him and he was knocked out, like Thackery Binx got up, didn't he? And held on about the ladder. Elijah may have just stayed on the ground. Or stayed on the ground a bit longer, so therefore the witches wouldn't have had time to turn him into a cat, would they? Because if you watch the film, as soon as they turn Thackery Binx into a cat, the townsfolk are there, the witch hunters and Thackery Binx's mum and dad are there, and the rest are ready to hang him. So if he stayed on the floor maybe a bit longer, Elijah, maybe he wouldn't have been turned into a cat. Or if he did get up like Thackery Binx did and he called Winifred a hag, maybe he'd have tried to get away instead of standing there while they were looking at the spell book to try and curse him. When they were finding the spell book to curse Thackery Binx, he just stood there, didn't he? He didn't try and escape. Where Elijah may have tried to escape, so maybe therefore he might have been saved in time before being turned into a cat. Or if he turned him into a cat, the townsfolk would have seen it through the window, so who knows, innit? I mean, he could have done better than Thackery Binx because he was more experienced, he was older. Or he could have done the same things, but yeah, he could have escaped a human. He could have tried to take on a witch like Thackery Binx did and may have done it better. He probably wouldn't have saved that Emily because she was already done once when she followed Sarah into the woods because she was kind of controlled by because of her singing a siren song. But he may have been able to save himself from being a cat because, like I said, if Winifred zapped him, he may have stayed on the floor longer, so there wouldn't have been time to turn him into a cat. And even if he were looking at the spell to turn him into a cat, maybe he'd have tried to escape, so maybe he would have had more time, so maybe he would have not been turned into a cat. He'd have been saved by the townsfolk, or even if he was turned into a cat, like if the townsfolk didn't save him quick enough, at least they'd have seen it more than what they saw Thackery Binx, because he may have wasted more time, or he may have done the same mistake what Thackery Binx did, wait at the same time or whatever. But yeah, it's unknown, isn't it, what would have happened if Elijah went to try and rescue Emily Binx instead of Thackery Binx, if he'd have been turned into a cat or not. But he was older and may have done things differently or the same. We don't know, do we? But that's just my thoughts. Anyway, thanks for watching. I just was asked, so I just thought I'd make a video of this about what would have happened if Elijah went instead of Thackery Binx. We don't know because it wasn't scripted for him, but I've just gave him my thoughts of what would have happened. Maybe he'd have done things differently. Maybe he'd have been saved by the townsfolk before they turned him into a cat. Who knows? Anyway, thanks for watching.